Question: do people in Spain speak real Spanish versus all the other nations that speak Spanish? That's my question. I'm going to predict the answer is yes. If I'm asking someone who's in Spain, they're going to say, of course, we speak real Spanish. Here's the conundrum though, okay? What you may not know about me is I have an English degree. That's what I went to college for, okay? So I remember in one of our upper level English courses, one of the professors had said this, and this is one of the things that definitely strikes me that I remember from my whole college career that I'm learning for the sake of my English degree. He had said, yes, there is proper English, and there are rules to English, but ultimately, the English language, as all languages, is going to evolve over time. And ultimately, some conversational phrasing and words and then spellings even are going to adapt to modern times. So at some point, we have to recognize what is the popular spoken version, and we have to realize that that's actually legitimate and not just cling on to the old version that's the right way. And maybe that's challenging to hear, but for me to put it in perspective, I know that I made a video a couple weeks ago asking a question because I didn't know for sure. And notice how almost all my videos I'm asking questions. I'm not teaching anything because I don't know anything. I'm asking questions. That's how I learn. But I made the video asking the question, do more people speak Spanish outside of Spain than people actually in Spain? I think it's pretty much a given. We're talking about Spain, which I think is the size of Texas, I think. Again, ignorant American, don't know anything about world geography. The American school system failed me there. I say it as an obligation because it comes up so much in the comment section. Okay, so Spain versus what? South America, Central America, Mexico, all of that. One country versus what? Half a continent, right? I guess we could say. More people speak Spanish outside of Spain than in Spain. So obviously, there's going to be different versions of Spanish. And the Spanish that is spoken in Mexico versus Puerto Rico versus Spain is all going to be different. And it's easy to say, well, but the right way is the way people in Spain speak. And I could see absolutely, as far as by the textbook, yes, absolutely. But at some point, does the number of people who speak a certain version of that language ultimately become the new norm? I mean, I guess we could ask the same thing with the English language. I mean, you've got England up here, and you know, where English came from, right? Shouldn't I know that? I'm an English major, right? So there's another language from a country in Europe, and so many people speak it. Of course, I know it's not the most popular language. I guess Mandarin Chinese would be just by default. But ultimately, there's definite variations of that. Now, as an American, I recognize myself easily and instantly that the right way to speak the English language is to listen to people from England. Though it's difficult because when I hear words like that end in like RY, and they really pronounce they pronounce everything so different. But ultimately, I know that that's the right way in theory. But ultimately, and I guess I'd have to ask someone who doesn't speak English as their first language, what version of English sounds best. Oh, that's its own video. I just invented a new video, which is not this one, so don't leave a comment on that. Wait till I publish that video, then leave a comment. I just invented a video topic. Okay, so it is interesting that these countries in Europe have these languages named after the country that became more popular outside of those countries. And ultimately, at some point, the real way to speak that language by default, because of how many more people speak it that way, may be the way that's not the right way. The accent and some of the verb conjugations, and however it evolves by the time it gets to the countries across the Atlantic Ocean, how it changes. So by default, if more people speak it a certain way, that's the more common spoken version, the more relevant version, and how long do we hold on to the history of it versus what's actually being spoken right now all across the world in blog posts and articles and instant message? Does that ultimately outweigh the real way to speak the language? Specifically Spanish. I'd be most interested in knowing that right here in the comments section.